This video has been organized to discuss Facilitation 101. So you've been asked to serve as a facilitator for an event. But what does that mean? Facilitation is derived from the Latin word facilis, which means easy, and the word facere, a Latin verb meaning to make or do. Facilitation therefore involves making things easier for the participants of a program or conversation. When facilitating, there are a number of actions facilitators do, including supporting the curriculum through discussion and activities, creating connections of shared information and experiences, helping participants get good information and affirmation, providing focus and direction, and appropriately challenging and questioning participants. While a number of concepts may sound similar to teaching or training, there's a key difference. Teachers and trainers deliver information and share knowledge themselves, whereas facilitators lead a discussion through listening and asking questions. This allows the participants to share their knowledge and make connections on their own. If you've ever attended a conference or program, you know the presenter often makes a huge impact on your experience. If the presenter is good and keeps you engaged, you're more likely to take something away from the event. On the other hand, if they aren't so good, you quickly start to tune out and your experience is impacted. This is why it's important to talk about different facilitation techniques, both what you want to do and what you should not do. Being able to facilitate effectively is as important as the environment you create, since the manner in which you handle discussion directly impacts the experience for your participants. Particularly at events when the majority of learning occurs from facilitated discussions, your actions and reactions can either positively or negatively impact how much your learners take away from the conversation. Both the participants and you have taken time out of your schedules to attend the event, so it is important to prepare in advance to be successful in your role as a facilitator. This way, we can continue to deliver on our promise of providing quality educational events in order to develop principled business leaders. As with any role, there are a number of skills and abilities facilitators need to have to effectively facilitate a conversation, including strong communication, creating a comfortable group learning environment, guiding discussion through leading questions, and encouraging growth through challenging perspectives. At the upcoming event, the majority of individuals in your groups will not likely be familiar with anyone else in the room. Additionally, they may be new to their roles. For some participants, they will also be in a new city and a new environment if they've never been to a fraternity-wide event before. This is why it's important to create a supportive learning environment, or else they may not feel comfortable speaking up. Some of the best learning occurs between peers, but if they don't feel safe and respected, they're going to be less likely to participate. As a result, less participation may reduce their ability to develop their own leadership and the leadership of their chapter. In order to create a comfortable group atmosphere, facilitators should appear natural and genuine in their conversations and speak with a clear and non-judgmental voice. Remember, you're not there to preach your opinions, but rather support their learning experience. Facilitators should remain interested in all the comments and development of each participant. You should not play favorites. While you want to remain impartial, it's still important to develop appropriate relationships with the participants and with other facilitators, as people are more likely to express themselves when they feel comfortable with those around them. In your small group discussions, there are likely to be some individuals who speak up more often than others, even after creating a safe environment. If one or two people are dominating the conversation, you aren't likely to get diverse perspectives and reach the intended outcomes of the discussion. To effectively facilitate the conversation and challenge your participants to think critically about the topic at hand, you need to engage everyone to hear their perspectives. Pay attention to the body language and recognize if someone is thinking, not understanding, or is just too shy to jump into the conversation. Be sure to give them time to formulate your thoughts, and then bring them into the conversation if they aren't actively joining in themselves. One technique you can use to do so is to use their name and ask them specific leading questions related to the conversation in order to share their thoughts. Be mindful that cold calling a shy participant might not always be the best option, since it does put the participant on the spot. However, if it seems the individual has been trying to speak but is being cut off by those dominating the conversation, then asking the group to allow for that person to share their perspectives is helpful. Another way to bring quiet group members in the conversation includes having participants take a few minutes to write down their thoughts before opening the discussion of the group. Having group members work in pairs to first discuss a topic can also help shy participants gain confidence in their opinion and voice. As a facilitator, you may find yourself dealing with some difficult situations. It is your responsibility to take control of the situation in order to bring an unruly conversation or unruly individual back on track before it affects the environment and the group's learning. A few situations you may end up dealing with include silence, disruptive group members, negativity, and off-topic conversation. Silence can often be difficult, especially for a new facilitator. It feels uncomfortable, but silence is often a sign of learning and processing, and is a signal you've identified a difficult conversation. Just as it feels uncomfortable for you, it's also uncomfortable for the participants, and sooner or later, someone will fill the silence. A lot of the conversation and topics you'll be covering in small group discussions will be new for participants, and the goal is for them to challenge their perspectives. Be patient and wait for that moment. The other three tend to blur together, meaning when you have one issue, the other issues sometimes occur. Off-topic conversation is not always intentional, and sometimes an entire conversation ends up being diverted elsewhere. In other cases, a few participants may start a side conversation, which disrupts the discussion. Whenever the conversation starts to take a turn away from the main focus, or you notice individuals drifting from the group discussion, refocus everyone's attention back to the main conversation. This can be as simple as saying, "Those are all great points, but let's get back to XYZ." When it comes to a disruptive or negative group member, they're not only troublesome to your agenda in trying to facilitate the conversation, but the other participants will likely get frustrated the disruptive individual is sabotaging their learning experience. This can lead to negativity in the group and cause individuals to have side conversations or derail the main conversation to go off topic. If this happens in your small group meeting, don't get frustrated, as the participants will notice and will feed off of your emotions. Instead, don't promote the disruptive behavior, and instead use your allies in the group to bring the conversation back on topic. Say something such as, "I hear what you're saying, however, we're not focused on that topic right now, so let's table your issue and revisit it later. Does anyone else have something to add about XYZ?" If the negativity or disruption continues, you may need to speak to the individual or individuals after the meeting, but do so in private and not in front of the group. As a facilitator, you may come into situations you've not experienced before and do not know how to handle, and that's okay. Through practice and preparation, you will develop your own facilitating techniques to assist in creating the optimal learning environment. For more resources on facilitation, visit our Facilitation Pinterest board to learn about more techniques and best practices. Thank you for listening to this program. If you have ideas for future webinar or e-learning topics, or suggestions to improve this program, please email education@aksci.org.